And so my name is Breezy Barcelo. I live in Michigan and I'm the Scholar Support Specialist at the Rankin Foundation. And I'm so glad to be here with you tonight. We are here to answer questions about the application, which is open right now until February 14th, I think. Um, and this is Kelsey, my coworker, so I'll let her introduce herself. And oh, I also want to mention that I was also a Rankin Scholar, so I received our scholarship for 3 years and then finished my bachelor's degree, and I got my master's degree, and now I work here. So that's kind of cool too. I have both sides. I have experience from both sides, so you can feel free to ask me any questions from either side, from going to school and applying for the application for the scholarship, because I also did that for about receiving it, and then also anything else you have just about our foundation, we will try to answer. And this is Chelsea.
Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea Bellin. I support our Montana Tribal College Scholars, and that's a new offering that we have. And so I'm very new. I started in August, and so I'm here to just support Breezy, help answer some questions, and hopefully support each of you as you go through the application process. I live in cold Missoula, Montana. So if you see me maybe grabbing a blanket, it's because it's getting really cold out. But I'm excited to connect with each of you, and hopefully we can spend the hour discussing your needs and your goals.
Yeah, so the application is open right now, and on the application, at least since you're here, and I think that's the main way that we are sending the invitation here. So, so yeah, if anyone has any questions or comments, or if you'd like to let us know just kind of like where you are in that point, please feel free to speak up. And of course, the chat is fine, or you can unmute yourself and ask, and we can talk. Yeah, go ahead, Shawnee.
So my question is around the recommendations. Can you guys clarify possibly who it should come from?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And we ask for 2 letters of recommendation. And we actually changed our rule recently, I think just about a year or two ago, and so that now it can also come from a family member. Um, and what I would say from on the side of um, reading the applications and scoring, I would recommend asking people to write them who really like know your strengths, and who will write about good qualities that will kind of like get across who you are as either a person or in your it could be like in your academic work, so it could be like a professor or a classmate or someone in lab or someone who knows you well. It could be someone, a coworker, or someone you've worked with, so it could be a professional reference, but it can also be a personal reference who just knows your character. One thing that we often see in really good letters of recommendation are things that maybe even the applicant didn't even think about for themselves. You know, sometimes people who know you well and really believe in you will think of other things to write about yourself than you may even write. So really like that, like anyone who you trust and think would be able to write a good, picture about yourself. You have anything to add to that, Chelsea?
Yeah, I think I would add, and it doesn't directly answer your question, but just another like tip and thing to think about is, when you're asking someone, especially if they're in a professional sense or a previous instructor, to share not only your resume with them, but maybe some of the highlighted like successes that you've done in your community. And honestly, I feel like having a follow-up meeting or opening that conversation of, do you have questions about how I can share, some of my strengths a little bit more? Because letters of recommendation sometimes can become very transactional. And I think remembering that, you are a person and having your story be told or supported by a recommender is really important. The other thing that I would say is when you're asking, our system is an online system that sends out the requests, and to just remind your recommender that it's not a 1 or 2 sentence answer to the questions, to really elaborate and show that they know you and they know your strengths. And I think that would really strengthen your chances for that letter of recommendation component.
Thank
Great.
you.
Yeah. Yeah, great points. Did that answer your question, Shawnee? Did you have any follow-up questions on that?
No, it did. Thanks so very much.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. And then in the chat, I see Tamikia. Is that how you say your name? I will read. Oh,
Yes, that's right.
oh, good. Okay. So I see if you're selected, how is the grant money given? Is it given to the school directly or to the recipient? So we do give unrestricted funds directly to you. You have the choice. If you are selected to receive the grant, you have the choice. You can have it given directly to you or sent to your school. And then you want to start, but how do you get the questions that need to be answered, and how is the complete application uploaded when we are complete? Okay, those are great questions. So it all starts on our website, which I will share my screen for a moment. Can everyone see that? Okay. So here it's rankinfoundation.org is the website. And can you put that in the chat, Chelsea? Thank you. And then if you go up here to scholar grants, it says here, apply to be a Rankin Foundation scholar. And if you go down here, we have 3 different grants you can apply for right now. And each button here will take you in to where the questions are to see if you're eligible. So the main differences are the National Scholar Grant is for if you live in any state and you go to an accredited college and you're age 35 and over and you identify as female or non-binary and you meet our income guidelines. And then we have the Montana Tribal College Scholar Grant. That's if you're attending a tribal college in Montana. And then our Emerge grant is for people who live in Montana and Georgia. And those other ones, you can actually be age 25 and up, and then the other requirements are similar. It's just the age difference. So if you live in Montana or Georgia, you can be 25 and up. If you live in other states, it's 35 and up. So then you just go ahead and you click on one of those buttons where you think you should click. And you start by taking the survey to make sure that you're eligible, and then you can apply if you're eligible. The application is right in this link. And the way that you upload the complete application is you just submit it. So when you have everything there, that button will take you to a website called Submittable, and that's what we use for our applications. When you have everything finished, you can submit it. Does that answer your oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and I was just going to add that when you go into the application, you can save it as you go through and leave. And so if you wanted to go in and move forward after all the demographic stuff and kind of look at maybe the essay questions, and then maybe write them separately. Then you can come back to them and upload it. So it's all electronic in that sense.
Yes.
Breezy, there was a question around how many grants are given and how many people apply.
Tamikia, did that answer your question there?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so Michelle, are older students considered the same way as younger students, and how many grants are given and how many people apply? Michelle, if you're able to come off mute, can you clarify what you mean as far as our older students considered the same as younger students? Oh, okay, Chelsea answered a bit, but if you want to, Michelle.
If, because I'm a senior citizen.
Okay.
So are we still considered the same way as maybe a 40-year-old?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And I mean, what's my odds of getting a grant? Like, how many people apply?
That's a good question. I'm not sure, Chelsea. Do you know? I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, and I think it really depends on which category you're going into.
I'm national.
The national one. So I feel like, and I'm fairly new, and we can always follow up for you if you really want us to dig into it deeper. But I do believe when I started, there was discussion around several hundred applicants in the national pool. And I'm not sure how many were decided on being awarded this last year. So I wouldn't know how to answer that one.
Okay.
It kind of it depends year to year how many graduates we have too. So so like last year I think we had something around 50 new people who got the scholarship. So it's a good amount, you know, it's not just like 3 or 4 people. Um it's a good amount. And I know that we have quite a few dozen graduates who are graduating in spring. So um you know, so the number of applicants probably varies year to year. I do think I've heard talk of like there, you know, being like Chelsea said, like a few hundred, you know, maybe 200 to 300. And I do know last year we gave 50 new because you can also renew our grant. So we always have to see who already received it, who wants to renew it. We renew it up to 5 years or until you finish your first bachelor's degree. So um, that depends. Let's see,
Thank
Shawnee. Yeah, did that answer your question?
Yes, I'm gonna apply now because I feel like I have a decent chance.
Yeah, wonderful. Awesome. And yes, Shawnee, yes, a part-time student, absolutely. You qualify. Sarah, your hand is up.
Yeah, I was just wondering if the scholarship amount is like determined for every person the same across the board, or if it's like a tiered scholarship amount. And if that is that something that is disclosed, or is that something that is like just discussed with the people that are awarded the scholarships?
Yeah, great question. That it is the same amount across the board, depending on if you're taking full-time or part-time classes, but we do consider full-time classes 6 credits and up, so it's a little different than like a college. And we consider part-time 5 credits and down. And did we put the amount on the website, Chelsea? I know we were talking about doing that recently.
I don't think so.
Okay. Um, yeah, it's usually around, so since I've worked here and since I've received our scholarship, it has varied from I think 2,000 a year to 2,500 a year. It's been like in that realm of amount.
And
Okay.
that's full academic, so 2 payments usually.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good, great questions, everyone. Thank you so much for bringing your questions. I'm just checking the chat and make sure we didn't miss anything. Nope. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Yeah, Kimberly.
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to know, I just joined a little bit late, but and obviously I can read more on the website, but I just wondered, like, I live in California, Southern California. Do you guys service this area, or can people from here apply? I believe I go to a CSU at CSULA, and I think it's accredited by WASC. Western Association of Schools or something like that.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, as long as your school's accredited, we're national. So anywhere in the United States, um, we you would just apply for the national grant on the website. We do have a website. Oh, thank you, Chelsea. Chelsea just put in the chat the website that you can pretty easily make sure your school's accredited. You just go in there and there's like this little search bar and it will tell you if it's accredited. Also I've had pretty good luck with Google because we only work with schools that are accredited and not for profit. And I can usually find both of those pretty quickly, uh, that information pretty quickly on Google. And then in the chat, oh, okay, Chelsea got it. Yep. Okay. Did that answer your question about the California and accreditation?
yes. Yeah. So I just go on there and applying for the National Scholar Grant. Do I need letters of recommendation?
You will, yep. And someone else put here in the Tamikia put in the chat too for the recommendation letters. Will they be uploaded with the application or sent separately from the person who wrote it? And so that's similar to your question. They will be sent separately. So when you're doing your application, you will put in those two people's information, and then Submittable will like send them an email asking for the letter. So yeah, you don't have to have those ready when you apply.
And we see those prompts for the letters of recommendation. Do you know, Breezy, are they prompted by email when they get submitted? I can't remember. Like, does the applicant get told? I believe they do.
Oh, yeah, that I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the applicant does. I know the people who are going to write the letters of recommendation, they'll get an email right away asking for it. And then if we see that you have all your application done and your people have not sent your letters, we will remind them, like maybe like a month later or something, depending on when you did finish the application and the due date and everything. I'm gonna get to you in just a second, Sarah. Just someone in the chat asks, was that one payment of 2,500 or two? It's around that amount. So it's, not set in stone, the amount year to year, but it's around that amount, and that's split into 2 semesters, always a fall payment and a spring payment.
Okay.
Is there anyone who can assist with all of the paperwork verification things you wanted? I did the essays. It's pet for 26 years, have difficulty with the paperwork. Okay, do you mean the paperwork as far as like the tax form? Because I think mainly what you need is proof that you're going to a college, right? So a letter of acceptance or a transcript, and tax forms to show your income. But the person who is called iPad who is asking that, if you want to, email us, Chelsea put the email in the chat a couple of times. It's info@rankinfoundation.org. We can try to help with the paperwork. at least answer questions, or you can ask right now if you have like a specific question about the paperwork. Okay, taxes, yeah. Okay. Okay, Sarah, I'll take your question. I know you've been waiting a little bit, and then I'll get back to the chat.
Thank you. I am just curious if we submit a FAFSA, and then the FAFSA date got pushed back this year, so I was just wondering if that's going to affect it at all. The
Oh,
application.
like the due date for it, you mean?
Yeah, they are redoing the entire like software or whatever is
Oh, wow.
involved with creating and implementing the FAFSA. So they pushed back the date. It's normally like October 1st. It's opening, I think, December 31st, or it's supposed to. So I don't know. I just want to know how related that was to this process.
Yeah, sure.
I think I can answer that, Breezy. So
Good.
we did take that into consideration when we were going in and creating the application for this cycle. So you'll see information about that, about what year we need to see, because we do know that, you know, we can't get in there and I say we because I'm also a student, but we can't get in there and fill out our FAFSA right now, and it's definitely a longer wait. So when you go in there, I don't know if you've done that, Sarah, but there will be prompts and explanations about what is needed.
Okay, thank you. And just to clarify, we can start the application and not finish it.
Correct.
So that we can kind of get like our head around what it is that's involved and then go back and complete the steps.
Absolutely. I do believe you need to fill out the like beginning demographic information, but you can save and come back to it fairly easily. So you can kind of work on it outside of the application portal.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Breezy, I think there was a
Saying
question.
you mentioned receiving the scholarship and now you are with the foundation. Would you say that the foundation was involved with your life and not just a donor? And yeah, that's a great question. And yeah, absolutely. And actually, Chelsea and I, our full-time jobs are with the foundation are to provide support for our scholars. So I find that really unique. You know, we have weekly Zoom calls with support, and we try to focus on things like study tips and mindfulness practices and self-care and you know, communication skills and job searching skills. And there's definitely a lot um, besides the money that we put a lot of effort into um, and really, you know, and feel like it's just really a really important part of getting through school and being successful.
I just wanted to come on and wrap back around. I'm sorry. For Sarah, I just double checked that verbiage. I just want to make sure I didn't like advise you wrongly, but it will ask for the most recent FAFSA. So definitely do whatever you have on file, especially since the deadline doesn't give a lot of time after the FAFSA opens up. So definitely use your most recent.
Okay, thank you.
Good, great questions. Anyone else have a question? Let's see. For Leanne says, are there opportunities to apply to this organization as well if the person doesn't live in the state? Do you mean in the United States? Because we are nationwide.
Or are you talking employment opportunities?
Oh, in
Because we were
Missouri.
oh no, in Missouri.
Well, so if you're talking about the scholarship application, you can live in any of the United States and plus Puerto Rico.
I don't know.
the national, you would just apply for the national scholarship, the national scholar grant. Chelsea just put the link in there in the chat.
And I'll put in the chat the scholar page as well, and this might be for everybody. I don't know if anybody's gone in there recently, but maybe if you're on this call, but you can check your eligibility for each of those opportunities. So if anything is kind of confusing, I know when you're applying for scholarships, sometimes all of the requirements can get kind of muddled together. So you can select on each one that you think you can apply for and check your eligibility, and it'll allow you to move forward or tell you that you're ineligible.
Yeah, and just to review that again, so if you can live nationwide, and then you would be age 35 and over to be eligible. But if you live in Montana or Georgia, you would be 25 and over. And that is because Jeanette Rankin, who is obviously very important to our foundation since she's in our name, she is from Montana. She was from Montana, and she lived in Georgia for a long time, and that's where she was a congresswoman. She was actually the first female in Congress, which is super cool. And she left her estate to which started the Jeanette Rankin Foundation. So that's why we have kind of like special rules for people who live in Montana and Georgia. Thank you, Kimberly. Bye. If you live in the United States and then move overseas, but go to college online, can you still be awarded a scholarship? That's a good question. Probably. I mean, that would, if you're going to an accredited US school and a US citizen, I would guess like if you're, traveling or, but I know you have to be a US citizen. Yep. Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, Breezy, what would be some of the questions that might come up if they were awarded for like a renewal? Would there need to be proof of United States, taxes after their initial award? Because I think that would be the only thing that I would wonder.
Yeah, that's a good question. We might have to ask our team that and get back to you, because
Yeah,
I don't know if that's come up.
Yeah, whoever is iPad, if you want to direct message me your email, I would be happy to follow up tomorrow or Friday with the answer to that when we talk to our team.
Well, does anyone else have any thoughts, or do you want to tell us if anyone wants to share like where they're at in the application, or anything they're thinking about with this? That's welcome also. Thanks, Rebecca. Okay, so we could talk about income limits. Um, see, I have them pulled up here.
That is correct. Did you get them pulled up, Breezy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That is correct, Ingrid. Did you have any other questions about that or along those lines?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Started my application, but still working on the questions because it's asking for 200 words. Yeah, and that's, you know, those essay questions are such like a bulk of what's important in the application. I definitely encourage you to you know, put a good amount of thought into them. You know, when you're thinking about like what you've done that, you know, shows your grit or your dedication or what your goals are, just really kind of like laying out as much detail as you can in those. Our our readers, we have a lot of readers, and many people will read your application. And I'll tell you right now, they're not really looking so much for like perfect like grammar or spelling or writing or things like that. It's more like really the content. Um, and we just don't know, you know, if you don't tell us like what your thoughts or goals or what you've overcome in your life or what's important to you, there's just really no way to know other than those essay questions and possibly your letters of recommendation. So I definitely encourage you to put some good time into telling your story and you know what makes you unique and your goals. Do you have any other thoughts about that, Chelsea? I know you read some applications recently, so you might have more current
Yeah,
thoughts.
no, I would totally agree. As a student myself who also looks for scholarships, I kind of have a rule where I try and meet that word limit. And then I also will kind of work on it outside of the application. So starting a Word document, and then you can just kind of edit it over time. I think that's really helpful. But I do know just the nature of the Jeanette Rankin Foundation, and once you are a scholar, just the wraparound support that we provide, we really do value and cherish like relationships. So in my eyes, if you can start any potential relationship by really allowing us to or the reviewers to get to know you in that essay area, I think that is a really good way to start. I think there was another question around income.
If your income fluctuates? Yeah, I think it would pretty much go by, you know, what the documentation that you have available. So like probably your most regular or average income.
And it will ask you, and I will triple check this just in case, but it will ask you for, it's the 2022 tax information. Yes.
Are some of you getting through the application? Any of you finished with it or feel like you're almost finished? Do any of you live in Georgia? How about Montana? Okay, Tamika in Washington, D.C. Okay. Does anyone live in Montana?
DC.
Two people from DC.
I love it.
Yeah, so if you're in DC, then you would apply for the National Scholar Grant. That's what I received when I was a student. Um, the National Scholar Grant, because like I said at the beginning, I'm in Michigan. And let's see, I can go over just a couple of things if until anyone has questions. So the application is open now, and you would go into, if you haven't yet, you would go into rankinfoundation.org. Let's see. Just gonna post that again. And in there you can look at the different applications we have and take there's like if you haven't yet, there's like an eligibility quiz for each. And so you can see what you're eligible for, and that will also take you to the application and submittable. And in submittable, you'll need to make an account, um, and like Chelsea said, you'll be able to start and save the application. So if you get on there and you're like, oh, I don't have, my tax form or my letter of acceptance to college or whatever it is, you can do as much as you can and save it in draft. If you're not a current student, you'll just need like a letter of acceptance to a college. And if you're a current student, your latest transcript will work. You don't qualify if you have a bachelor's degree already, so that's really important. You have to be working on your certificate or associate's or your first bachelor's degree. We don't have funding right now for grad school. It'll ask you for 2 letters of recommendation, and that can be professional contacts or professors or classmates or friends or coworkers or bosses. And it can also be family if you think a family member would have a good, solid outline of how amazing you are to tell us. The application is due February. Did I say the right date earlier? Let me look.
The 16th. Yep.
I know. I was like, why am I saying the 14th? Maybe because that's Valentine's Day. February 16th. So just, right now it's December 13th. So you have 2 months, but make sure to get it in there, get it finished up. So yeah, February 16th it's due and everything's due. And also you want to give your people who are writing your letters of recommendation a little bit of time. And feel free to remind them, and we will also remind them if we see that your application is fully, submitted with no letters of recommendation, we will remind them. But that there's only so much we can do with that. So also for those of you who haven't asked people yet, really try to think of who will do it for you for sure, who you can count on. What else? Any other thoughts or facts, Chelsea, that I'm missing?
I don't think so. Maybe the only thing would be, we don't have any other cycles outside of this normal cycle. So, if maybe you're just not sure about school happening or something comes up while you're applying and you just need to put school off, like it would just be smart to know that this time next year we open it up again. So we have one cycle, which is kind of nice to just keep on your calendar to know.
Yes, good point. We will continue to do this every Wednesday. I think the last one is the last week of January. Let's see. Yep, January 31st. So we'll be on here every Wednesday through January 31st. So if you do get, further in the application, or you have more questions, or someone else who has questions, we will be on here every Wednesday. How many times can you apply? It says in the chat. You can keep, if you don't receive the application, you can just keep applying. You can, try again. We sometimes have people who didn't receive it, and then they ask for pointers for next year. I don't think there's a limit to that. If you receive the application, then you don't have to apply again, which is nice. You just renew it with us for up to 5 years, or until you finish your first bachelor's degree.
Yeah, could you, Rebecca's chatting with me in a direct message. Could you just maybe brush up on what would happen if, so say, it sounds like maybe she's asking, should I not apply yet if we aren't sure if we can attend? And I recommended that if she's been admitted to a school and is in school, to apply. And I'm wondering if maybe you could talk about what happens if something comes up and she can't attend.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely recommend applying if you're even thinking of attending school, because there are a couple things. There's one thing is that if you're chosen to receive the application or the scholarship, and you're just like, you know what, my plans have totally gone out the window, and I don't think anytime soon I'm going to go to school, you can pass on it, and it will be given to someone else in your place. Or if you have a very direct plan, like, okay, I got the scholarship, however, this fall, which will be next fall, right, of 2024, something came up, we're moving, it's too stressful, I'm gonna go to school in January, we can hold it for you. So, either way, I would say to apply if you qualify, and if you're even thinking of going to college, in the next year, I would still go ahead and do it for sure. There's no harm in it. And if you receive it and you decide to not take it, it's not like you'll be on a list of where we won't give it to you in the future too. So that's another thing too.
And I think it also just speaks to just our willingness of supporting our scholars when, we see the need and it's been awarded, making sure that communication line is open and we know your plans, then we are very, supportive in how we can make that happen when you get to that timeline. And that's just a little rank and brag, because I think that's a really unique part of our foundation that not a lot of scholarships or grants provide. There is a question from Shoni, I
Yeah,
believe.
I see that.
Thanks.
In your opinion, what holds the most weight? The essay, grades, financial need, recommendations? Great question. So financial need, as long as you qualify, does not hold weight. So it's kind of like once you qualify with that, with those income limits, then that's all that matters for that. Grades do not hold much weight, honestly. We do have We do have kind of like a minimum that we hold to with scholars, but it's a 2.5 GPA that we just, ask that if you're getting around that or lower, that you are in communication with us with how we can help you make sure you're, getting through school. So we don't go by GPA as far as awarding scholarships. So other than that, I would say the essays and the recommendations kind of work together um to kind of like paint the picture of who you are, um your strengths, your plan and goals, those kind of things. And those, I think, really, as long as you have like the paperwork that you need and everything in, as long as your school is accredited and you're you're within the age limit, you're within the income limits, then I think it's really a matter of your essay questions, especially, putting forth like your story. And that can be really different for everyone, that could, a lot of strength, and that could be something you've already done. And, maybe the reason you want to go to college piggybacks on something you've already done or started, or it could be some sort of personal challenge or experience you've had that has, propelled you to go to school. So the essays are huge. I know I've been reading the essays even before I worked here, once I wasn't a scholar anymore, once I finished my bachelor's. And I can see that the essays hold a lot of weight, and that really short, I mean, the word limit won't let you answer too short, but if it's really not saying much, if it's like, well, I'm proud of that I'm a mom or something really simple, we need a little more than that. We just want to know, like, if you're going to be here with us, on this journey, we want to know like what your plan is, what your goal is, how we can support you in that, and how college is going to like really help you in that journey. So I would say those details are really important. And then recommendations are important, but we also do realize that like you don't have control, over what the recommender is saying, and if how lengthy that is and everything. So, but we do the recommendation letters, we do also kind of like rate them. And that's also on content, if they're saying like, yes, give this person a scholarship because, they're early to my class every time and they are so interested in this subject and da da da, or, this is my sister, I've always been able to count on her, and now she's going into mental health, and I would, she's the first person I'd want to talk to when I was going through something, just those kind of examples and like real life situations we are really important. That was a long answer. Did that answer that? Yes, you're welcome. Well, we have about 9 minutes left. If anyone else has any questions or comments.
Hi, my name's Sabrina. I am currently a CSUF student. I am in my 50s and I have maybe a year and a half left to go. I just want to thank you for sending me the email to the invite, because last year I was on the road to applying for your scholarship, but I think I got stuck at that reference part and I didn't get it out to anybody, or I didn't finish the application because I got so crazy busy in school. So I want to thank you for getting me this email and having me push me more to do this, to try and get the application. It really means a lot to me. I am currently also a student assistant at the TAP Center at my college, which is Transfers Adults Parenting Pregnant. So I know how very important this kind of stuff is to a lot of the adults out there. So I am going to pass this on. I will apply, but I will also pass it on to others so that they can have the opportunity as well. I'm here again in Southern California, so I want to thank you for doing this. It means a lot.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad that you're gonna apply again. That's great. And please feel free to email us and let us know if we can help too. Like if, if your recommenders aren't like answering, or if you're having a problem with that. We've worked with people too before, kind of like switching switching up
Thanks.
who we ask for letters of recommendation to and stuff too.
Yeah, I when you guys start talking about taxes, that's the part that always freaks me out, especially because last year, the school has that VITA, and they help you with your taxes. And the only reason why I even did taxes last year was because when I got laid off at work, I had a 401k loan out, and it just got to the point where I just couldn't make the payments anymore. So I reneged on the payments. So now I owed the government for the taxes on that 401k that I had taken out. So I had to pay like, I don't know, $1,500 last year. But that was kind of the only reason why I even had to pay taxes, because I'm on CalWorks here in California. And so
Mm.
my thing is they did it through the system, and I don't even know that I got a copy of it. So I'm a little worried about that. I guess I'll
Yeah,
have to go
well,
try to find Vida.
sure. Yeah, and just do your best to, upload what you have, and then also you can write in there any, explanation, or again, you can like Chelsea just put the email in there. You can also email us, and
Okay.
we can also have one of our team members, who she will be back next Wednesday doing this call. She really knows like the ins and outs of the paperwork.
Okay.
Her name's Latrina, and so she would probably be a really good help with that too.
All right. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And thanks for passing on the scholarship to people you work with and help too. That's really super important.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I'm also the treasurer for our Aware Club. We created a club for the adults who are over 25, 23, whatever. I mean, 25 and 30 over. We have quite a few older, 40s and so forth. But it's nice to have a community of older adults, because it's kind of tough when you're going to school with all these young ones, and you feel like you're left out
Yes.
and you don't feel like you belong, and you can't really relate because, you're running around. Like right now, I was not on the phone call because I was running around picking up my kids from school. I
Yes.
had finals today. So I had a final and I had you on my calendar, and I was like, okay, I got to make sure I make it to this one so that I know. And so, yeah, our lives are
Yeah.
much different.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. And that's one thing I love about our foundation is we call it a sisterhood, because like we all have a lot of those kind of things in common.
Yeah. Well, again, I thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and head out and make the kids dinner so I can go study for my final tomorrow.
Okay. Good
Good
luck with
luck.
that.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Bye. Good
Thank
luck
you.
to all y'all who are trying to qualify for it as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. I'll follow up in the next day or so after we talk to our team.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Chelsea.
Yep.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, do either of you last two people in here have any last questions before we wrap up? All right, well then we will sign off. Thank you. And yeah, thanks for coming, and that was a good round of questions all over the place, which is awesome. And again, feel free to email us or to get back on here next Wednesday at the same time. And we wish you the best in applying. So thank you, and thanks for being here, Chelsea.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.